5:04. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes from last meeting?
Yeah, one thing on the,
I got back to
about the sixth paragraph. It said, Mr. O'Neill stated he had a request to DEP at the final inspection of the Sear Street tank.
Mm-hmm.
That's supposed to be the
Station one,
the
yeah.
Station 1, not the tank. That was all I had.
You got anything, Tom? In a minute. Okay, I didn't either. So I hear a motion to accept the
Motion to
minutes.
accept is amended.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So you can just change that word and that's signed. Okay, we
Sign
signed
everything except for this one, there's two. What was with the big abatement for the school?
It was a decimal.
Oh, the school was?
It only said decimal on one of them.
It's decimal on both. If you look at the back, it was one of them.
was a decimal point.
Yeah. That should be 10,004.
Oh, that explains
It's
it.
the same thing. In
That should be fine.
correct. 56.
Now, how did the meter? Did
Meter not program, right? or something?
Jill said it must have been some glitch that hasn't happened before for those two, so I don't know.
It's
I
never
had-
happened
It's
before?
nothing's
Not on
changed,
those
right? I
two.
mean,
Nope,
just all of a
nothing's
sudden,
changed.
all of a sudden, the decimal ones were wrong spot.
Exactly. So I have it on when we bill in November to look at it. And we send it out.
Okay.
It's special.
You satisfied with that?
Just I didn't notice that the decimal on
Okay. And so we signed the abatements and the refunds. We signed the warrants.
Those Rick got two of them. You get two of those, Rick? That's yours.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, the last thing on our list here is the bid opening for the hay. I want to move that up. So anybody have any problem with that?
No.
All right. Carry those envelopes over there. They're all the bids for the. Did we have a time for this? 5:15 was it?
I thought it was 5:05.
Well, look, double check the time before you open it.
It was 5:05.
I thought it was 5 o'clock.
Did it say 5:05?
Yeah.
On the paper? Okay, then we'll go over them.
506.
Bill Coit would like to place a $500 bid for the rights to harvest 2 cuttings of hay for describing the parcel. This is in there, it's for Clint Howard. $45 per acre. That's what your bid is, $45 per acre. So
What
it
is
is
it, 6.6 acres?
Alright, figure that out.
$297.
Okay, so just write it on there as a total amount.
What is the size of the piece we own up there? Do you know, Wayne?
Well, it has the whole thing, so it's.
Yeah, but it includes the woods and all the small.
So it's more than six, the whole piece we own.
Yeah, it's like 18 acres or something. Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes all the way to the back of Miller's,
It's 20
Eddie Miller's place. Demolish, Tim Demolish and Billy Demolish bid $723. One more.
How much is that an acre? You're supposed to write it by acre?
No, they're supposed to just have
Lump
a
sum.
price, but they did it by acre, so we just figured out what we said in the bid was how many acres. That's,
How do we know it's 6 acres?
I did it on the GIS.
Oh, we did?
If you just trace out the field and what had been previously cut and left out the wetlands and all that, and that's the most you could get. That was 6.6, I think it was. And this is Ramco's bid. Okay, so this bid here is $135 per usable acre. So the acreage that we figured there was 6.6.
891.
891? Okay, Ramco's the high bidder. 891.
You wanted insurance, right?
That we were up in the air on that. I don't think you need the insurance.
Okay. I put it all in there and
Yeah. We had problems years ago with like around the water tank and people being there, and they said that the town has an insurance policy for all their land. Like if somebody fell in the town river at the town park, the town's covered. They don't have to have a special policy for the town park. Everything the town owns is covered. So if there's personal injury, the town's covered. So I can't imagine that there's going to be a problem with the water department Hayfield. We got the same policy. So
One question for you. We put it in as per usable acre. The bid's on the 6.6 acres. If part of it you can't cut because it stays wet for too long and you only get one cutting out of part of that plot, it doesn't change the amount that's owed. It was based on, you can't come back afterwards and say I couldn't get into
and
this
you're not going to
corner.
come back to me and I got 14 acres, right?
no,
If you cut 14 acres, your problem won't be with us, it'll be with the conservation
Well, I'm
commission.
just
I mean, that's bottom line.
I mean you don't have a problem with paying us. What was the amount? $891 because we want the money by July 1st. We said in the thing or something.
Oh, it's June 1st.
June 1st, yeah, whatever it is. You have any problem with that?
And what do we do it for, 3 years?
Well,
No,
we're going to do it 1 year, and then if everything goes good, and if he wants to renew it for a year, we'll extend it for a year. And then if you're still happy and we're still happy with the way it's going, we'll extend it for a third year. But
I thought
I
it said it
always-
was renewed for 2 years at a time.
well, yeah, this
On
year,
the paper
yeah,
that you had assigned,
Right.
it said for 2 years at a time.
this year, and then 2 additional years.
Okay.
Because the most you can have, like an employee can only have a 3-year contract. You can't be hired for a lifetime. So any contract that we sign, we can only indebt the town for 3 years into a contract. That's it. Then we have to go back out to bid again. So, but if you're happy and we're happy with the way things are going, we can just extend it. If that's okay, if you just say, it didn't work out, I don't like it, I didn't get enough hay out of it, it's not worth it, just let us know and we'll just do another bid next year and
Yeah.
somebody else can come there.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
very good.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
Have a good
thank
night.
you.
Discuss it before, but I mean, it was set up that it was
Oh, you
a high bid, so this way. problem with it.
We just need to do it, then there's no vote that needs to be taken.
No, we need to take a vote.
Yeah,
We don't
we need to
we don't
take a
have
vote,
in front of it.
You gotta have a good reason not to take the high bid.
I just didn't know for like,
Oh, no, we will take a
Oh.
vote, but just as far as Brad, no issues with him.
Any issues with the high bidder?
Yeah.
I don't think so, no.
He doesn't have any haying equipment, but I'm sure he'll get somebody else to hay it.
But they all work together, half those guys are,
Yeah, so,
It's all one plate.
and it's in there that they have to get it out of there by fall, so.
doesn't matter how he cuts it, he's gonna pay the money to pay it, and that's what it is.
Yep.
One of those other guys will end up doing it anyway. so.
What was it, the only issue I thought was the way he said usable in that was not.
Yeah.
Right, that was a good, that was a good question.
Well, that's right, we need to
But he,
button down,
but he
it's
said, but he
a
said
contract
no.
price for that
He
piece.
said no, and he's gotta pay it in June, and if he did cut less and he didn't wanna renew, we just bid it again.
Yep,
So for the first year, he's paying $891, whether he cuts 3 acres or 6.
exactly.
And it's all.
That's the way I
Because it depends on the weather.
Is that how you understood it?
Yeah.
That's the way I understood it. So you'll just bring in a check and, send it up to town hall and we'll,
Yeah, so just so it's formal, make a motion to accept the
Okay,
bid from
yeah.
Ramco for
Okay, do it.
whatever the number is, assuming that he gets the money in by June 1st.
that's in the form of a motion.
That's a motion.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So, you killed that one. Next one on the agenda is water withdrawal permit.
Well, it's up for renewal. I briefly scanned it. I haven't had time to look at it because I'm trying to stay on top of the lead and copper year. And we just went through station 1.
Anything stand out when you glanced it over? Or?
No, I mean, they're going to reduce our water, so I'm just trying to, I have to look at the totals and see that we stay within, but I think we will. I mean, the wells are all permitted above what we actually produce for a day, so that's a good thing. So we don't have to look at like half a day running and switch it over.
Just make sure that we are, we can try to prove to them that we have a lot of growth coming. There's
Right.
a lot of expansion areas that we could
Yeah.
get, so we don't get cut short in the future.
We'll probably have to use Tatter and Howard to help us get through that. They
Yep.
know more about the mitigation things, but it looked like most of the things they accepted most everything we did except for a few items. And
So you've already turned the paperwork in for it, or you haven't yet?
no, I haven't yet.
So when I read it over, it looked like, what are we at now, 830,000 permitted average per day?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Or was it 7 something? I forget what I read.
It used to be 6 something. Is it 7
No,
something?
I
I
can't.
think it was 7, it was
I
going
just-
to 8 something?
It goes up every year a little bit.
Should be 8.
830, I think, or something?
Should be more than we can produce. Whatever we can produce with all of our things, it should be more than
And then we just got to prove, you've got to get some documentation for the,
Yeah, and I have for the leak.
Unaccounted for the
completely.
40.
Yeah, I have, because we did the leak detections around town with the correlator, so I saved all of those maps, so I have that. So I have to write that up. And then I have Mass Rural Water, I'll have them give me a letter saying I had brought them in. It's so that they know we weren't sitting around doing nothing.
they just want an explanation why it took a year to find it.
Right. And even at that, I mean, I know of other towns that just let their leaks go. I don't get it. I don't know how you could.
I don't know how they could not have
Yeah,
under
how do you
10%
not
unaccounted.
stay under 10% every year if you let
It did
that
say they
thing-
were going to hold us to 65-10 though, 65.
Yeah, and we're currently, I think, when I did our thing, we were 54.
So we've got breathing room.
Yeah, there's breathing room there, so it's not like it's tight on us.
Okay, good. Any other comments on the water permit?
When's it? Is it hard deadline or is it just
It
something?
is a
that's
hard
gotta be-
deadline. I know it's, I think it's 3 months. There is a deadline. You can ask for extensions if you don't.
But it's not a date as much as from when you get the letter, it's so much time.
Yes, I think it's from when I got the letter.
So if you're gonna need engineering help, identify that early so you can get them involved in it. And
Yeah, because they asked, there's a whole pile of different, like the drought mitigation, a drought plan, that there's like 6 plans right off of the top that stood out. And then when I started searching to see if they had templates so that I could create them,
they don't. Usually they do.
so that didn't make it easy either. But it might not be anything, and maybe it's just I call them and say, well, what do you want out of this? Yeah, if there's a
Sometimes
drought,
if you-
then I drive around and tell them.
If you
everybody
find
should
another
sprinkle.
small town about our size and
Right.
you just read theirs, if they've already been through it, you can get an idea what they're looking for.
And the problem is everybody in our basin they held off, then they suddenly went. So they tagged like 5 towns in our basin right away, back to back. So nobody really from our basin is gone yet.
Okay. Any other questions about it? Wayne, you're all done?
Yep.
Job ad, future hire.
I haven't had time to do that one either. I'll work on it. I'll put things for looking for an earth degree or a chemistry degree, and then
Are you,
word it up.
when are you looking to fill that, July 1st?
Well, when we get it out, yeah. I don't know if I'll have it because you got to advertise. Then we'll see. I mean, I want somebody, but you want the right person. Should be a good fit this time. I'd rather look at the person more closely to make sure we're gonna get a better feel. I'd like to interview them first by myself, so I'll take notes, then have you guys interview them, and then we'll get together after the fact.
You know what you need most help with, so
Right.
hire somebody that can do that.
Yeah, but they're like another 3 sets of eyes. Maybe you see something I don't see.
If we're gonna do it, we want it to be
Right,
what you need, not
right.
cause you more work.
So you really need more of a technical guy.
I'm looking for a technical guy.
Any other questions? And we got Patrick on here, but he's not here.
Yeah, so
So those are,
the replacement well, he's waiting on Mark to give him a bid to have an ultrasonic drilling rig so that when they pull up the core sample, it comes up in one sample, so that you can push it out and then you see how it.
Yeah.
You can see this.
that's cool,
Yeah, so that's why he's waiting
huh?
for that.
How big a core does it do?
I didn't. I should have asked him, but
That's pretty cool.
yeah, it's not the big well. It would be the small test well.
Yeah, probably like a 2 inch, 2 and a
Yeah, I
quarter,
think it's
2.5
a 2
inch.
inch. I thought he said like 2 inch, but I'm not. I don't want to be held to that.
Huh.
So we're just waiting for him to get the pricing
Yeah,
together.
and then a time for him to come in and do it. Obviously, if he has that kind of rig, he's probably flat out because I don't think anybody else has it.
Well,
And then the new water source that's sitting right now, I think he's waiting to go before DEP and talk with them. So that's where that's at.
He hasn't been a chance to set it up yet.
Yeah, he hasn't said that he has yet.
and
I'll
this,
have to keep poking him because somehow we might get, I don't want to get to the back burner again.
Yeah.
and I was talking to Wayne, I guess the well-known back has been approved, the station.
I was just gonna
Yeah,
ask that.
station
if
one
that ever
qualified,
happened.
we're just waiting for the official letter, and then we'll just go, I've had Randy sampling it all along anyways, so that we stayed up to date, but they like to see one last round of samples before you put it to the street. And just before we put it to the street, we'll close off and we'll reverse flush the line going through the woods so that we don't blow on.
So you're not using it yet?
No.
No, his DEP's been here, done their inspection, but we haven't got the official letter.
Yeah,
Oh,
She didn't go back to the office and type up the letter yet.
right.
And she could get back there with her notes and have a few more questions. So he's just waiting for that.
Right.
Just that, it's almost there, you know, it's just,
But there was no hard, no, sorry.
No, there was nothing, the only thing is like the dry wells, they're beginning, so most of the stations, the sinks all go up to a dry well. So they're beginning to make you permit them now, because they want to know what's going out into the dry well. So she asked about that. The other thing is C5, they don't sit in a containment thing, so we might have to start putting them down in the pit too. That was my workaround with the chlorine, if I put them down into the
The storage of C5?
Yep. Even
Really?
though it's a water-based chemical, they want to see it. So she saw the drum sitting there waiting to be pumped in because we're ready to go. And she asked about it, and it wasn't on a containment thing. So she didn't say anything, so she might let it go, and she might not. It's up to her.
Now, did you change? You want to change the injection points, the bigger lines or something?
We did up the injection point, so we saw a slight differential. So I'll change it a little more, but I just wanted to get past the inspection before I started messing around with it.
So you're all, you did all that. You're all set with that.
Yeah. It made a difference, so we'll make it a little bigger, and it'll make a bigger difference. We'll be all set there.
We're gonna have a quick meeting here. I was wondering if we can do a field trip down and just see the finished product.
Yeah, I have no problem. You want to do that?
I mean, we got a quick meeting, right? What we got left?
Yeah,
Nothing.
Not much left. The altitude valves, I still think, I haven't told him yet that to just do engineering, so I still think we can do that entire thing in-house. I don't foresee, it's just a matter of running the pipes. I have an example to look at. It's a check valve and an altitude valve. Whether you have one or two, so that you have one on each tank, or you have two, it's just a matter of running them to a location where you're going to pour a pad, and whether you put a brick building or a wood structure building, and then eventually, if you want, you can just relocate the SCADA system into that building off the side of the tank instead.
When you feel better having an engineer actually lay the thing out for you?
So the only thing I think you'd get it faster if we went outside with it, because they don't have to produce water, distribute water, fix the system, and do the things that we have to do daily. But if we have the time to do it in-house...
No, I'm saying do it in-house. But wouldn't you be better off having him draw the blueprint so that if you're not working off a blueprint, you may find that you should have built the building a little bit bigger by the time you get the valves in.
So when you look up there, well, I'll tell you what my idea was, and then you can tell me I'm crazy. It would be the first time. First I gotta find a place.
What do you think?
I don't mind it.
It depends. I mean, it's better to work from lay it all out first.
Right,
Make
and
sure
I kind
where
of
the spot is.
sketched it out already. I
Yep.
just didn't get time to finish it and make it.
What do you think, Tom?
Just keep it off to the hurt. Have them lay it out. Just make sure we're not missing anything.
Yeah, if you're not doing full bid documents, that drops the price a lot. You're gonna be buying the components.
What was he talking for design?
I don't have it in front of me, but
Ballpark. Was it $80,000?
I think it was more than that. I thought it was in the six figures. But
Yeah, but that was
for everything.
That was
including
for-
construction.
Bid documents and everything.
Yeah, he'll be doing the inspection,
Yeah,
and he'll be doing the
yeah.
bid documents and everything. This way here, he's just kind of doing a blueprint, you know?
No, it's not. I mean, it's not a big deal. These are like 8.5 by 11 details that they put in the spec, and it wouldn't even be a plan.
So it shouldn't
If
be
they were
$80,000,
putting this together.
right?
Oh, they spend the time. The problem is it's the time when they spec. We were talking a prefab building or something. They
so
spend a bunch of
engineering
time.
contingency was $90,000.
I'm sorry, what was it?
90.
Engineering contingency was $90,000.
Okay, I knew it was on there.
But that would be going again, full bid documents for a build. And he had two buildings,
Right.
which it'd be a little different because they're not going to be the same size valves. Needing to go up into each one if we're doing it two. So what
What you saying? Two different size valves at those tanks?
If you do two different valves, they're not going to fill the same rate. So you're going to have different size valves.
So smaller one for the small tank.
Yeah. But if you can set it up to do one valve to feed both tanks, then you don't have to.
Would you
I
know?
think we can do it with one valve.
We'll look at the yard pipe, and I think we can.
Yeah, you really only have space for a building like in this area here,
Yeah.
because the other place, the fence line, everything's right there. So if you did it and you ran back around the back side of the tank when you ran the water out, and ran the water in, grab these sides from here, run them between the tanks, so that you're coming in and going on.
How much
Opposite
space is in
side.
between those two tanks?
There's enough space for that. You can't tell because of the way if you
Yeah,
look,
it's an ortho.
yeah, you can't see it, but
Don't forget there's electrical in there.
yeah, and then there's our electrical. Yeah.
Because they connect the two tanks, you know?
But I can tell them just to do engineering, we don't have to tell them to go at the end.
I mean, you can ask them what it'd be to just do that as I mean, it's almost a generic. If you were going to run it around the back, would switch to one valve, fill in the 2 tanks.
Right.
You wouldn't put 2 valves because it would run the red pipe coming around the purple. You make it so you have one loop feeding into it. Yeah, I mean that's.
Yeah, because then I could just break the pipe that goes out towards Spring Street and bring it around, and then you just tee into the other one and bring it up, and then. But then you're forced to only come one way. So you come in and out.
Now, is that going to solve the problem of filling those 2 tanks at different rates plus the Walnut Street tank filling, not completely filling? Is that going to fix them all?
We're currently filling that little tank faster than we're filling the big tank. So
That should allow us to fill.
So if you just
Walnut
use
Street.
one altitude valve, you're going to fill the little tank first, and then it'll.
Not if it's sized right. If you're bringing one feeding into the inlet of it, and that altitude valve's coming off the other side, you should be able to get the 2 of them to float.
That's
within inches, not feet.
That's why I was thinking it might be better off having the engineer figure out exactly that altitude valve to what you're getting, what you're buying.
Yeah, it's the settings of the valve that are going to be the
So-
more important.
So how does that work? I'm not understanding how.
Right now,
altitude valve.
that piping is just sitting there, feeding as it wants to go in.
Right. And
Whichever
so
one goes through that
As
little
it's
tank.
feeding, I can see where it's going to fill the small one way quicker than the 5 million.
But if you take a new line going in that's going to feed the tanks, it's feeding off that one altitude valve. They're both. You size the pipe going to.
So you do
to make
smaller
those-
diameter
You
pipes.
size the pipes going to the connections, so you get a little bit difference in loss. And what'll happen is you got one pressure feeding it. You got one size
And then when
pipe
it
feeding
feeds
this
up-
tank, one size pipe feeding
So
that
when you go into
tank,
the small tank, go with smaller diameter pipe.
and they'll feed together and they'll float together. It shouldn't be too much of a difference.
So
I don't know
basically what
your
you're saying is
sizes are
smaller
now.
diameter feed to the small tank.
Or a larger one with a valve to change, a valve maybe be partially closed.
Oh,
If we do a bypass,
So we should be
feed
able
them
to-
back out.
Tune it up so
It should be able to be tuned up so one doesn't fill 2 feet earlier than the other, and then they start doing this. Because you don't want the valve to be
Yeah,
cycled.
well, that it would be happening. It would flutter.
But if you
what's a valve cost if we had to do an extra, if we did 2 valves?
I haven't priced them yet.
Ballpark.
I have no idea.
Depends on the size. I mean, it's those clay valves that you're buying for the station. It's going to be a fair amount more than that because they'll
So what are you
They'll be
talking? Are you
bigger
talking
valves.
$10,000 valve?
Yeah, it could be.
easy. I mean, could do 2 separate ones.
I just
That's
Yeah, we could. So the other thing is that so we're coming up on town meeting, and this is, you're gonna have one meeting before, but, so if you reduce it down to just engineering, I have to have a voted on amount. So you can only reduce it, because the article is written for engineering and whatever else, the way it's written, it has to go, if we do anything in-house, that article isn't any good for that. So you can't, that money's won't apply.
Why we worded it to go out to bid.
Yeah, I think it's worded to go out to.
We can't do it in-house at that point?
No, that's what I've been warned.
No. Well, I
you
guess,
amend it on the floor.
I don't think you can amend the article part of it. You can amend the money part, but I don't think you can amend the article itself.
Because people come up with potential amendments to articles
yeah.
all the time, and that's what the pot thing was, an amended article when they tried to change the one from the
that
town
kind of-
election.
Yeah.
But it gets done. There's a procedure to do it. It's got to be something in writing. We can look at.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, there's a way that they amend them on the town meeting floor.
Right.
I'm just not sure exactly what.
If we do it in-house, then this next year, if anything, I might be able to get the valves in, block valves in place, and some of the piping run, but I won't get to the more expensive part. So I might be able to do a budget or valves that we have in stock already anyways.
Well, as far as doing the yard piping work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that purple pipe, 16-inch,
Yeah.
big pipe.
Ductile line, must be.
Yeah.
That'll be a big key.
Yep. That's big. All right, so what do you want to do? We're going to not make not move on that article at this meeting, and then,
Well, you could reduce it down to engineering and get that part of it done, and then if we could, you'll have the engineering part, then if we do it in-house, we go off of their plans. If you decide later on, we just don't have the time, and we have revenue, then you could add another next.
I just want to do it in-house if we can squeeze it in at some point.
I'd like to squeeze it in. I don't think it's a bad job. I think it's easy. It's just piping and running on a slab around the pipe.
I feel more comfortable with having an engineer involved with the valves. If
Yeah.
you need one valve or two valves, and
Right.
picking the size of the valves
Yeah.
more than anything. I have no problem with you guys tapping the mains and laying the pipe and all that and get them into the buildings, but the actual technical figuring how fast those tanks are going to fill and what size valves, I think you may want some help with that.
Yeah, so you could take it down to the 90,000 for the engineering.
Ask the engineer what that would be, because I don't
Alright.
think we should be paying $80,000 or $90,000 for
No,
it.
but if we don't have a number ahead of time, we can at least do the article down to the 90,
We could always drop
and
the
we can
money
always
down.
Right,
not spend it
right, okay.
if we had to.
Yep.
Because he might start thinking, it might take him a while to get back with that number.
Good. I just don't want to spend $80,000 or $90,000 on that truck.
Pretty basic, I wouldn't imagine.
No,
Is he designing the building too?
they'd have some time. Well, it depends on what we want him to do for the building. You call up Shea Concrete, somebody like that, you get a precast building, drop right on to
What
the
size
slab.
building were we thinking? Were we thinking like a 12
Well,
by 12?
you're going to have to lay it out
We don't
around
know.
the valves.
Well, it's around, yeah, it's the length of the valves because it's all flanged fittings.
See, that's why you want the engineer to figure what the
What
layout,
room you're gonna
how
need.
long we need. Sometimes you get those valves too, you need laying.
With all the fittings, it gets long.
Yeah,
And you've got to have space between the lines so that you have enough for the control valves, the pilots, and everything else too.
and sometimes,
Probably talking like a 12 by 16 or something by the time.
sometimes you need straight pipe before and after it enters a valve. You know, I don't know if it's true with the altitude valves, but a lot of times when they say you need smooth pipe, you can't have like a fitting
Yeah.
within 3 feet of the end, the end of the out.
Yeah, I think you're okay with that on altitude
Oh, yeah.
valves, but
So that's
Yeah.
why, that's another thing. When you get done, the engineer can tell you the building's got to be,
Yeah.
at least 18 feet or something.
Yeah.
You got something you're working with.
Right.
Even if they just design the size of the building, we
Yeah.
can decide what we want, whether it's a wood structure or a precast concrete.
Right.
So, okay, let's do that. Let's just see if we get it approved for the engineering,
All right.
and then so we got to take a vote
It's
on
either
that.
that, you can wait until the June 3rd meeting and just vote on it then.
You'll have a number, you
I'll
think?
get to Patrick and have him get me back a number.
Okay,
we'll just do that.
sounds good. So we'll take a road trip down back. And you want to walk down?
Yeah.
Let's just walk down, huh? You got keys, Wayne?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's about where the 100-foot feed line comes back into the building. Sample line. Oh, I hadn't seen that fenced in area around that well.
Oh, punch list item, gotta fix the barbed wire.
So the other thing they haven't done the smoke
Put
detector.
that plastic box around that?
Yeah.
If it leaks?
Yeah.
Yeah, the splash.
Yeah, see, I think we have to put in a flow switch somewhere between in there too, if they didn't put it in.
Really? That's something new.
Well, it existed before
They're gonna pain in the neck to work on it, because you gotta take that apart.
Yeah, they did.
Which one's can range?
How's that flow meter work like that?
That works fine. Yep.
See that pipe over there? That's a surge protector. They put that in 1948. They thought for the parking lot they were going to need it because of the hill. So they never went out.
You made the
So
tap.
finally they just
No, the tap we haven't changed, but that's what I'm gonna change, because if you notice, they neck it down.
Right.
So now that they're all done,
So you are gonna change from here.
Yeah.
Engineers put that in 1948. We thought there'd be
I have a
big
differential,
surge
so
down
I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna burn the pumps up, but I'd rather they,
What are the cables for?
it's gonna blow and it's a cork, so it's actually has a wand into the pipe, so it's in the stream. So
If it blows out, it doesn't take
blows
out
out,
and kill someone,
right, it catches it, so you don't get shot like a bow and
They're
arrow.
not connected or anything yet.
Well, it's around it, so it's around the bottom, so if it should blow up, but it's not very tight, but if it should blow up, that's gonna puck. And then the top is...
So you're talking about the plastic blown?
Yes, the blood, so the
Not the
white
core.
piece will go with it.
I thought you were talking about the cork blown.
No.
Yeah, no, it's the quill inside.
It's only that sandpaper type thinning that's holding that in.
Yeah.
It's all plastic.
Right, it's a rubber bushing tight. We haven't ever had one blow off, but I'm sure it would hurt if we got hit by it.
Yeah, so you're gonna have, that's not like something you can lift up, you have to take that apart and let it work.
Yeah. That's why they were trying to...
Surprised it's all.
Well, the chlorine eats up stainless.
It's stainless.
Oh yeah, it eats right through it, like in a day.
So they built a hole in the floor there with that.
Yep. So they basically just relocated the skater panel, and then we transformed over the VFDs.
That's the
The electrical, yeah. It's all the instrumentation room now.
Those are where we use the drives.
Yep.
Big, I know they were.
Yeah. It's 30s. So that's 3,000 gallons. Yep. Yes, no, it's...
Did they make you put that plastic up there too?
No, we did that to hold the thing and should anything blow off so that you weren't getting hit.
Oh, okay.
No, it's a 2,200. It's a 2,200 gallon tank. It's not, but the 3,000 is looking almost exactly like it. It's a little taller.
You got the C5 usually.
Yep, that's the drum that you spotted. And
How much does one of those containers gallons cost? Because if you
I,
had to move them in all the time, that'd be a real pain.
so you only see one, but typically there's 4 in here. At a running station, there'll be 4 sitting here.
What's that drum cost?
It's like $500.
Get that on camera. That drum right there.
It's dense, so it's a heavy drum too. It's 400 and something pounds.
It is, huh?
Yeah. Chlorine is a little more dense, but it's a bigger drum too, so it's heavier. That's why, for the most part, we keep everything down in the workaround because everything's down in the pit. The problem is, once you get a heavy drum down,
See, Tom, we have to take the C5, I mean, the potassium hydroxide every day, all the chemicals, and you remove them from here and you put them over here.
It's a small
And it's small back, so
they
that
overdose.
Right. So if you get a runaway pump, it doesn't shut off. The damage isn't quite as bad as if you're sucking on a big tank.
Which is the only thing you get fault, right?
Right, yep.
Everything else is wrong.
And those things there on the top, they actually echo down when they get the level of the chemical. And every hour it looks at the elevation. So if it's running, it's continually, the computer's counting. It went down a gallon, went down 2 gallons. And then at midnight, it reports back into the reporting system and tells how many gallons of that chemical went in. Then in the report it goes back and it looks at how much water came out of the pumping station, and it does all the math and figures out the parts per million and everything. It's all done automatic.
Delete that.
So that's all we're doing here for flooring?
Well, we're not running. There'll be a 55-gallon drum here when we're running, but yeah, that's a day tank, so yeah, we'll fill that up. But in the
So
summertime,
we do have a bigger tank of flooring.
what?
We have a bigger drum down here.
Yeah, we'll put the drum down there. Then you batch out, because we typically run 2 to 1, 2 parts water to 1 part chlorine.
We have to dilute it down.
Right, when it gets injected, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say, a lot of chlorine.
It makes the injection math easier.
During the heat of the summer, we'll probably go run that every day. It'll be drained. But in the wintertime, we put out almost nothing.
You know what? And then what we do is we inject from these little small plants, they inject into the carrying water. That carrying water goes up and over, and that's injected into the pipe, and it just gives more water.
Pretty diluted a little bit.
Right, and if you put a drop in as the 8-inch pipe is going out, you're getting a drop. It's hard to mix it.
Right.
Is it? So
Pretty diluted, it will mix quicker.
right, and you're shooting it in. You're causing turbulence. So we always felt like we were better off with the booster pumps, squirting it in and getting a better mix, because you have to have at that 100 foot out there and you draw it back in. You've got to have your results. It has to pH adjust the water correctly. And if you don't get that dilution, that mixing, you're not gonna get the right pH. That's what they look at, that 100 foot.
Yeah.
100 foot point.
It's
When you have
expecting it to be right.
Right, the 100 foot goes back to those instruments up there.
Scrap that idea.
So because of the chemicals, it's going to be plastic. Right?
Yeah, it'll keep it from rotting out here, because chlorine eats up a lot of things. Like that stainless, it eats it up fast. And like a day.
Really?
Yep. So the other thing you'll see coming in is for a big go pretty soon. So I told Mike, well, I have funds. As the PLCs are older, so if he upgrades the memory to hold the chlorine analyzers, it's going to cost me as much as a brand new PLC. So we're going to upgrade all these PLCs in the stations.
Is that the same? Is that the original one?
Yep,
Yeah,
that's why they're,
It's in good shape.
yeah. But I think the one at the tank keeps going continuously now, so I've gone through months to just spare parts, trying to keep that one alive.
This is why we need a technical guy for our next hire.
Let Hanover offers the PLC class.
When you get a guy in here and he's all by himself,
Yeah.
you want to be sure that he knows what he's doing.
And open, that's the
Yes,
old
this could
temperature
go bad
probe.
really quick.
It's still wired or
Why is it
something.
open?
Yeah, because it's the old temperature probe, we replaced it with the newer
So
style.
it's just sitting there wanting a signal and it's not.
Yeah, it's
wanting
not
to
getting a
set it.
signal.
Yeah, come on, nice, Wayne.
Yeah.
Did a nice job.
So you take your samples here, raw water, through the
Yeah.
water?
You see that big pipe up there with a small pipe to carry the water goes in? Yeah, we had to put that double jacket so that in case we blew a line, we come back to the containment area. And then it flows the other way back into the other containment area.
One way or another, it doesn't
Yeah.
go into.
You're paying an extra change.
It's all those little things that cost adds up. Yeah, those fans are loud, aren't they?
Yeah, it makes it a place you don't want to hang out.
Keep them cool forever. Everyone will be so hot now that I'm work.
Oops, sorry.
You always run 24/7 like that?
Yeah. I wish
Even
they,
when they're not working, huh?
yeah, I wish they came on and off because you really don't want to sit here. No. Yeah, the ones at Bailey Street are the exact same way.
Be insulated, all the buildings are all insulated.
Where is the heat?
The unit meters are hanging. There's no heat. Yeah, each room has its own. Yep. Yeah, there's a boiler out in the back. You have to go outside and get into it. Like I said, the only thing they haven't done in the OS is it wasn't in the contract, so I have our alarm technicians going to replace the smoke detectors because it's cheaper.
Okay.
And that way, they'll tie that in, so if they ever go off, I get a call from the alarm system in addition to the SCADA
When
system.
this all got done, did they look at the boiler for the heat and see if that needed to be
No, they didn't look at
redone,
that
or is that
at
in
all.
decent shape? Or
That's in decent shape. Yeah, we maintain it.
not something like we should be planning on replacing in a year or two?
No, it's a mini therm. They're really efficient. It's
Mini
not-
what?
A mini therm. They're small little cubes. Yeah. We've never had any problems heating them. Yeah, it does all.
It's good.
Yeah.
We'll get a big bill.
Have them take a
Yeah.
shot of the wellhead and power panel.
What is that?
What number is that? Well,
This is called station
one?
number 1, but that's well 13.
Yeah, I think they're going to relabel them wells 1 and 2.
I think that
But
was
it was 11 and
11,
12 or 12 and 13.
12 and 13, I think.
and that's the fence the extra big fence we put in for the drill rig, right?
Right.
Yep.
Still doesn't look like it would fit a drill rig, but
It's better.
it might.
I sent the thing off to
Marv,
the-
if,
to Mar, and
if they show up with a bigger unit, they buy us more fence.
well, the truck's not that big. They just have to get the landers down.
Can you see through the fence? Yeah, this is all nice.
That's where your water comes Does it?
Like a lot for the money, but all down, you think about it, it's
Yeah.
all
Yeah. Well, before and after, I mean, there's a lot of work went on here.
yeah, well, that's the thing, it's a lot. And then it's buried.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff doesn't.
What's that? The trench spot.
Do they bring the chemicals in through their way?
Yeah. What we're gonna do is probably up by some river rock, and we'll dig a trench, throw the rock in, so that the thing will drain down this way. Yeah. To get it away from there. So yeah, it stays wet up there.
are these here? These were old fence posts?
What?
Is that old fence posts or something?
I think at one time they dug something wrong. They were doing
Oh,
something.
So they dug fence posts in the wrong place,
see, yep.
and then they didn't fill them in.
Right. Bring some process down. They were flush at one time.
Maybe they filled in a lot in the
So they
rain.
settled. We have had a lot of rain.
Yeah, building looks good still.
Yeah, I gotta get somebody in and fix that from.
Oh yeah. What happened there? The wind?
Yeah.
How old's that?
Side, and then we added on the chemical room there, and then we put a barn roof on it, and framed it all in on the outside, and then we vinyl sided it so it looked more modern.
Yeah, somewhere I came across pictures of Obi on station doing siding.
The sight to behold. 5 minutes past 6. All in favor? Aye.